Good afternoon on Monday, May the 26th, 2025. Now, it's hard to believe we're at the last Monday of the month, isn't it?
No kidding. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I never expected that. I did expect it, but I didn't expect that this would go by so fast.
No, exactly. And if you think about it, we've been doing this for about a month,
Oh, man, really?
which I know, right? I can't believe
Wow.
it. I can't believe it.
Oh, man. This is, well, but we're having, we're having a lot of fun. So this is like, wow.
We are. So it's true what they say, which is that time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, yeah. It's so true. And like, but and they also say too that that when you have fun, it's always a good thing.
Well, exactly. When you have fun, it never feels like work.
No, no, exactly. No,
Yeah.
because it's all about what one makes of it, right? That's kind of what it's about.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, off air, you had a question for me about the so. Why don't we go ahead here and ask the question?
Oh, did I? Right. I was so very curious to see what your thoughts on this week's book are.
Okay, so which one? The Hunger Games?
The Hunger Games, yes.
Okay. Well, where I'm um, at this point in the book, yeah, how would I even describe it? Um, to be fair, it's it has a bit of a crazy twist if you look at it.
Mm, yes, I think I know to what you are referring, and I don't know. It's it's widely sort of known in terms of pop culture, but I don't know. I don't necessarily want to spoil it if people haven't.
Oh no, no. You know what? By the way, spoilers. We are because it's our show. We're allowed to give spoilers and do it how we want.
Okay, then yeah, it is a bit of a twist, isn't it?
It sure is.
But you can understand why, right?
Yes.
Like very, very easily. It's not hard to understand what just in this amount of time that you've spent with this character, it becomes very clear that she would volunteer to take her sister's place.
Yes. And I mean that's yeah. That's kind of where I'm kind of going with. Yeah. That's sort of the other piece as well, right? Because it like that's the other thing. Like it does. Yeah, that's like see. Yeah, and that's I think what kind of got me there was what where the crazy twist kind of begins for me.
Yeah.
Right. So
But
and go
are
ahead.
you enjoying it, or what are your thoughts on just the overall sort of the story, the way that things are?
Um, am I enjoying it? It's interesting. You know what? You know me that I like to always sort of you know uh I like to you know appreciate different sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say that am I enjoying it? It's different from what I've read recently.
Hmm.
But it has an interest, but because of the interesting sort of twist, it does make it for interesting reading. That it so am I enjoying it? A little bit, I think I can say.
Okay. and of course, I think enjoying is maybe with what the subject matter is and what the ultimate sort of it being the Hunger Games. I don't know if enjoying is perhaps the right word to use because enjoying it feels like saying enjoying brutality, but that's I don't necessarily mean that, of course. I just mean the enjoyment of getting into it and sort of learning about this world that is being created.
Well, and that's a very good way to put it too, right? Because it it does put you in a bit of a it does put you in a bit of a suspense, right? Where on what's going to happen.
That is true, it does.
But like I think if one sort of realizes the like if one sort of like realizes um that it's not really trying to send a message, it's not really trying to send a message, but the fact of that yes, it's clearly a work of fiction and it should be kind of taken as that.
That is really interesting that you say that and that you sort of fix on that because I would almost have to disagree a little
Um,
in
Tell me your reason. Oh, go ahead.
it's not in so much that the story itself feels like a message, but I feel like a lot of the way that the world is set up and the way that the idea of the way that Panem as a country is run is sort of sending a message, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's yeah no yeah you're right about that.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Because and a lot of it, I think this book was published in about 2008, and of course things were happening then and things are even more relevant now in terms of sort of the idea of something like censorship or people feeling like their government is sort of like they're being observed in some senses, or just the idea of in some ways governing through fear.
You know what? You're right in that sense because there's a lot of that today. There is a lot of that today, and it is very relevant for that reason.
Mm-hmm. And it is unfortunate that it's relevant for that reason, but
Yes.
I do think that it's it's aged rather well in that regard.
Oh, it has. It really has because if you look at the history of certain things,
Right.
like this stuff is really nothing new.
No, exactly.
It's been going on forever, this sort of thing.
That is true. It just sort of increases and decreases at times, or people pay more attention at times rather than at other times.
And see, the thing is, it's just that it's just more known now because of the internet
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and the different channels that one can access there and access information, right?
That is true. Yes.
And so yeah, so the message, if we kind of turn to that,
Yeah.
right, that we that it's trying that it's sending, or but that the book is giving here,
Hmm.
is that, hey, this sort of thing, happens all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's trying to convey.
Yeah, and sort of to be aware of that, and where different people fall in terms of, you know, sort of the class system on that, because you already get a sense of, say, with District 12, it's not a very well-off area. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And then I don't know if you've gotten to the part where I'm still on in the part where they're on the train and traveling to the capital, but the capital is a very stark difference.
I think I'm like what? 3 hours into the book?
Okay.
I think. I just updated it today. I don't know if you've had a chance to look.
I haven't seen that yet, no. I was looking a little earlier because I was updating things too, but I
No
didn't
worries.
see. I think it got lost under where you were. I saw that you were liking things and responding to things.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
No, it's okay.
No, no. No, no. That's okay. No,
That's totally fine.
no, I know.
No, it's great. It's
I
great.
know.
It's
No, no.
good.
No, no.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah. Well, we both do it, so you know.
No, it's true. We do. We
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, in a capacity where, um, like the so-called messaging and the image that it's trying to present, like, it's important. Like, see, and we've talked about it on other shows as well, that of of even that it's really important to read and learn different things, read different things, so we get an idea of what's to come, or what things that we're supposed to be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, of course, nonfiction is very important in that. There's a lot of educational materials and
There is, yeah,
even individual biographies and things. But I think, and of course, it's like you say, there is some fiction that is purely that. It is just fiction. It's meant
yeah,
for entertainment, it's an escape. But I think there is other fiction, such as this and other works as well, that do have messages that are there and can still teach us things, or are ways for an author to sort of interpret the real world through a fictional lens.
yeah. There's always that too, isn't there? Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's a balance, because it's not that all fiction is that, or all nonfiction is
Is good even.
more, yeah, true, or more important in that regard.
See, like, I mean, like, I feel like what tends to happen
Mhm.
is that, generally speaking, people will just read things that they are interested in only, and then you kind of lose, and then they kind of lose that, the awareness of other things.
I suppose so. Yeah, it is important to take things from other perspectives and other, I don't know, topics isn't the right word, but other.
Do you want to make up a word?
Not really. I would like to find the word, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, then make one up.
I guess just other thought processes
Okay, there
is
you
the
go.
best I can is the closest approximation. I don't think it's the exact thing I'm looking for, but it'll
No,
do.
go ahead.
Yeah, it'll do. Other thought processes.
No, I understand. good points.
Thank you. You do as well.
Thank you.
Very much.
No, thank you.
And I think, honestly, what you said about people sticking to their interests kind of goes to show not only for reading, but it also shows for how people use the internet and how people go about learning things or choosing to interact with the world is like, okay, I'll only go with what I'm interested in. And then, like you say, it kind of narrows the perspective, and that's where you get a lot of then it's not always this way, but that's where you can get people being so deeply entrenched in their opinions that they're not willing to hear anything else.
Yeah, and like I don't know if it's a case though. If it has to do with, I think like once a person has had or has like they've you know it, like the older they get, I feel like that then they sort of get set in their ways and they stick to it.
That can be too. It can be age. I mean, I'm sure there are also younger people who are similarly sort of stubborn, if you want to put it that way.
I agree with you.
And there are a lot of, I think, factors that contribute to that. It's
And what are a couple of them in your opinion?
well, to me, it's can be the people around you. It's like where are your influences coming from? The people, the whatever media you're consuming, just your position in life, like things you've experienced.
Okay, yeah, no, that I know. I actually agree with you on that one, but yeah,
I don't disagree with you about what you said about how people can become very set in their ways. I just think there's also
I
other
think that's it. I think that's it though. I mean that's like just kind of what you just said there.
yeah,
I feel like that's it,
true.
or part of the contribution to that.
I think that's a bit more accurate. Yeah, it's part of the contribution because there are, as we just said, there are a lot of parts, and I think the problem with a lot of things is very few things are black and white.
Yes.
And yet they get treated like they are.
Yes. Yeah. And like I feel like what the idea is though, or what the approach has to be, is that one isn't really like the idea shouldn't be that one should try to change that person's way of thinking.
Right, right.
The idea should be that if they're not willing to listen, or not willing to listen, but if they're not willing to comprehend, which sort of just means the same thing, but it's just a different way of putting it.
Guess so, yeah.
I think I just was looking for a different word. I don't know.
I understand that.
I don't know what it was, but
Yeah, yeah.
but to comprehend what you are telling them, or what you are, or what your perspective is,
Yeah.
and why one feels that way.
Very true, yes.
But in some ways, I feel we have to be careful at the same time.
In what ways?
In the sense in the sense um of of what one says, or what not only what one says, but what one, but like whether, because that might, like, if you know what a person is gonna, how they're gonna feel, then it's just better to not sort of, than to sort of be aware of what is being said, or what's being communicated, what message or what idea you're communicating.
I understand, I think. So if you know someone's not going to really receive something, be mindful of whether you get into certain things with them for that reason.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I agree with you there completely.
You
Because there's
know,
having a respectful debate or conversation, and then there's knowing that someone is going to feel a certain way so strongly, and some people will still choose to go there.
oh, they will, yeah. But you know what? And here's the other thing, right? And here's the other thing that happens as well.
Hmm.
That even though something is it start it starts out as a respectful sort of conversation and a debate and whatever,
Hmm.
it can turn it some of the time, I almost said a lot of the time,
Mm.
but some of the time it could start turning into like an attacking sort of thing, where it's like a right, well, like a, like, well, you're right, I'm wrong, like, like, you're wrong, I'm right kind of thing, quote.
Yes. Yeah.
But see, at the end of the day, right, but at the end of the day, though, I feel like it depends on what the person is going to be. And there may be certain, like, see, and there may be certain things that might just be avoided at like water cooler conversations.
Yes.
So, how about some other books you've been reading? Do you want to get into some of the other books you've been reading this week?
Yeah, I've mainly been focusing a lot of time on the Hunger Games, getting back into it. I wanted to get a good start, but I was of course reading My Effin' Life by Geddy Lee for our panel that just took place this past Friday.
Yes.
That was a very exciting read and a really interesting conversation, I think, that ended up coming out of that.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Yeah, and yeah. So yeah, what about you know what? I actually recently got back into Nazim Kadri's book again,
Okay.
and um and it's been interesting though to hear, like, see um his sort of, what he sort of like experienced, right, as a, like, on how he, it was the whole thing of how he handled certain things, like his time on, as a player, and he got traded, and how he handled all of that, and what happened on the ice. And it's like, that's where I felt like, and I still feel, as I've, go ahead.
Oh no, you continue on. I wasn't trying to add anything.
Oh, no worries. Okay. um that like, and I had said a couple of, like, the last time we talked about his book,
Hmm.
that it's almost like that it's worth picking up Brian Burke's book, Burke's Law, again, because were similar sort of um, drawings to it.
Right. I actually am just at a beginning point where he's sort of now mentioned Brian Burke, so I can see where you'd say that. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. He did when he was let go. Yeah, when Brian Burke was let go. Yeah,
Hmm.
and like reading his book because they're kind of like because they have some parallels as to what happened in the on the ice, what happened in the dressing room, what they used to.
Yeah. And you kind of might get a different perspective of like, this is what happened in the room, and then this is how it maybe got handled.
Yeah, but full disclosure, Makara,
Hmm.
that I have actually started to. I did actually start reading Burke's book. I want to say maybe a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I think I actually, if you check, it's actually in my books I tossed aside bookshelf.
Okay, yes, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I had to look at how far I even got into it at the time.
And how far did you get?
I'm not even sure. But I don't need to go back though, because I know what's happened.
Yeah. I understand that. You don't really want to retrace those steps necessarily if you remember it quite well.
Yep. There we go. So
Yeah.
yes, now go ahead.
And I was going to say too, I think I understand now where you said a couple weeks ago that Kadri comes across as a bit of a hothead.
Yeah. Yep.
I see that now.
No, he is a hothead.
Yeah. And he, you know what I think it is? He seems very quick to react to things and sort of
Yes.
maybe without thinking them through necessarily.
That's right. Yep. That's it. Yep.
Like he's kind of quick to anger as well.
Yes. Yep.
And you can sort of see how that then kind of manifests itself in his in what he chooses to do about something, and then how and then he sort of seems to rethink things when it maybe gets received negatively.
Yes, that's the yeah. That's really the idea. That's kind of where I thought of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now the full thing. Now I think the big question. I feel like the big question
Yes.
we should ask ourselves together here.
Where do we go for next week?
Yes, but also, am I glad that Kadri is no longer a Maple Leaf, and he hasn't been for quite some time?
Well, okay then, are you?
After reading his book, yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. And would you like to explain why that is?
Well, he wasn't very good. If you look at it, he wasn't very good on the ice either. And he always had, and I felt like it was because these anger sort of things kind of got in the way.
Hmm.
And I don't even, I mean, he was with the Flames last year. I don't know, I don't even know how well he's doing out there.
Right.
Yes, now we'll come to that question about next week.
Yes, I believe it would be your turn to pick a book.
Okay, I'd be happy to pick if you want. Let's see. What, you know what? You know something?
What's that?
Why don't we? There's so much that I've read, as you know, over the last little bit. Why don't we go with Alex Trebek's The Answer Is?
Okay, that'll be interesting. Let's definitely do that.
Yeah. And we'll also, and what else will we be doing as well next week? Giving up the updates on,
Yeah, we'll be continuing through the Hunger Games because we're both,
yeah.
we've got a distance to go yet. And I don't, did I even say necessarily what my overall impression was, or did I not?
I don't believe you did.
Okay, sorry.
You may
I
have, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I've been, again, enjoying it might not be the word, but it's been quite nice to get back into it after all this time and to sort of I had watched the movies around that time after having read the books, and I think a lot of that had stayed in my memory more than the details in the books. So it's quite nice to get back into, oh, this is not only the story of the games, but this is what Katniss's life was, and this is because I think that Suzanne Collins does a really good job of sort of interspersing the knowledge that we need to go into the games with, and also who Katniss is as a person and who she cares about, what her life is. And I think she never really gets bogged down in one or the other. Like how, oh, 1 minute they're on the train, and then the next she's sort of talking about, oh, she tosses the cookies out the window and it lands in the dandelions, and suddenly she's back in that discussion of
Yeah.
this is how they survived. And I find that really an interesting way to go about writing,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
but it's a good way of telling us who Katniss is by showing us these past sort of memories. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway so far.
Yeah, exactly. And we will be continuing with our thoughts on that as well as we'll be talking about that.
We will, yes. And I suppose now the next order of business would be where to find us. Yes?
Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you tell me where we can be found?
So the best place is the Discord. We've got a server over there, Ali and Makara's Books. And you can head over there for updates, or if you want to chat with us personally, we'd love to hear from you. We've also got the Goodreads. We've got a group over there, also Ali and Makara's Books, as well as our personal profiles, various podcast platforms. You've got your Apple, Amazon, Spotify, whatever you like. And of course, we've got the website too, aliandmacarasbooks.ca for the updates. Feel free to subscribe over there if you haven't already. We'd very much appreciate it. The YouTube channel as well. You can listen live there. You can catch the shows later on. Also, Ali and Makara's Books. I believe that's about it.
Yes, I believe so too.
And we will be back here next week.
We sure will. And this has been a lot of fun.
It has.
And I'm already looking forward to being back.
So am I.
There we go.